Governor Andrew Cuomo is calling for action after he says radioactive water leaked out of the Indian Point nuclear facility. The governor is reaching out to the commissioners of the state DEC and DOH to investigate the leak. In a statement, Governor Cuomo says water contaminated with tritium leaked into the groundwater, and the company reported high levels of radioactivity at 3 wells. Cuomo says the facility is reporting that the contamination has not spread and poses no immediate threat to the public. Still, he calls this a failure and said it's unacceptable. The U.S. Nuclear Regulation Commission says that exposure to high levels of tritium may cause cancer in humans or genetic defects.
So there you have it, yet another radiation leak in this age of contaminated water, contaminated air, contaminated just about everything. I think what you just heard at the end of that video right there, it's not far spread, but they also like to downplay stuff like this. What they've also mentioned is that this is an older facility and it's not the first time something like this has happened, but it's the worst one yet. And I'll just scroll down here real quick, is that this has happened before, but 3 of the 40 wells that registered alarming increases. In fact, one of the monitoring wells increased nearly 65,000% in what they're measuring. Now, I've seen a documentary on this a few years ago, actually. It was attacking nuclear energy in general, but it really focused in on Indian Point as being an older, weaker facility. And it's prone to leaks and would not handle a large earthquake very well, and is, in fact, very close to a large population center in New York. So this just creates a concern. We've heard all about earthquakes and sinkholes and the earth shifting from various channels, and I think this is going to be still a growing trend. In fact, it already is one. We've all heard about the Flint, Michigan water crisis is going on, but then all of a sudden it just pops up, oh, well, other cities do too. So Jackson, Mississippi, which is reported not to be a bigger problem, it's more of a limited problem, but I've seen a trend growing where it's all over the country, or at least in various places. And then this study popped up. 18 cities in Pennsylvania reported higher levels of lead exposure than Flint. All right, so I'll just go. I haven't looked too deep into this, but it's just kind of popping up all over the place. So I spent the past week looking at these cities and came away with 3 main findings. The first is that rate of lead exposure in Pennsylvania is incredibly alarming. Nearly 10% of the more than 140,000 kids tested had levels of 5 or more micrograms per deciliter of lead in the blood. This is the threshold the government uses to identify children with dangerously elevated blood levels. 1% tested positive for blood lead levels greater than 10 deciliters of lead in the blood. Compare that to Flint, where the state data shows the rate of lead exposure for 5 from 2014 to 2015 as 3.21%. Other researchers have found that specific areas of the city have exposure rates as high as 6.3%, as alarming, but still a lower rate than 18 of the 20 cities in Pennsylvania. So basically what it's saying is this is a very widespread, unreported issue. That's just part of the trend that I'm talking about here, is that they're playing this down, but between this and everything else I'm going to talk about today and the Zika virus, it's always something that's been going on for a while, and they're now just suddenly telling us all at once. So yeah, we've got lead in all these other different cities. The methane leak over in California was going on for a full month before the mainstream media even picked it up. Now, as of, yesterday, now they're saying there's lethal levels of radioactive material coming out. So a leaking natural gas well outside of Los Angeles is spewing so much naturally occurring uranium and radon that breathable radiation levels have hit lethal levels, according to Nuclear Expert Group. It's like they're saying, it's just boiling it down to it's a really, really big leak, and it's becoming an immediate threat to everyone around them. They mentioned, Fukushima class disaster, so I went and looked that up just real quick. And right off the bat, what do they say? And this is an older one from almost a year ago, but they're saying TEPCO, the agency that was in charge, didn't tell anyone. So it had been going on for 10 months or a year or so before they started to tell anyone. So I think we're going to be hearing more and more about this. Plus, with the combined disasters going on, this is going to be, the beginning of displacing people a lot more. This could be what some people will call wormwood. Radiation and poison getting into everything. Into water, food, all that, the air. Okay, so, and that just brought me to, I recently did a video all about propaganda and predictive programming in video games, and one in particular just loaded up everything we talk about in the truther community into one trailer. And one thing that popped in my head was in the middle of all this other stuff going on, they talk about an irradiated Mississippi divides a nation. Now, this is set up with North Korea taking over the country in some kind of over-the-top ridiculous scenario, but they throw everything in there. You can actually look at this and a whole bunch of other stuff that is in these video games in a video I did not too long ago, Revolution is Coming. But just to stick to this right here, they also put this in.
Today, the Greater Korean Republic launched their latest communication satellite, claiming it will bring a message of peace to the entire world.
And it goes on to knock out the power grid in America because that's the story that they're telling. But that dawned on me a couple days ago because now North Korea is getting ready to launch another satellite. You know, they just announced it. Now everybody's condemning them for it, and they just today announced it's going to be a little bit sooner than they said. And then just looking the story up to put it in this video, yeah, they just put in this little note right here. On Friday, U.S. government sources said U.S. intelligence agencies believe North Korea could be ready by U.S. Super Bowl kickoff on Sunday. I don't know. Just keep your eye out for these stories because they're starting to add up and add up and add up. That's what I wanted to report. Again, it's just that ongoing trend of radiation and poison. Be prepared for more and be prepared for things to get uncomfortable really fast. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, tell me what you think. Post something below that I haven't noticed. Thanks a lot.